the Bekaa Valley in Lebanon, June 1982. Syrian air defense crews are positioned throughout the valley when Israeli forces launch a massive air campaign. Syrian SAM sites come under devastating attack, but the Tunguska system hasn't arrived yet. The system was officially accepted into Soviet service on September 8, 1982, but wouldn't actually reach operational units until 1984. So this isn't about one specific engagement in 1982. This is about how the Soviets built a hybrid killer that could switch between guns and missiles faster than anything NATO had, and why it still shows up on battlefields today. How did Russia create a system that could track, lock, and destroy low-flying targets with brutal efficiency? And why does it remain relevant 4 decades later? Before we get into it though, go ahead and hit subscribe. Trust me, you're going to want to stick around for this one. By the late 1970s, attack helicopters had become a serious threat. The U.S. had the AH-64 Apache in development. NATO forces were fielding advanced systems. These weren't lumbering targets. They could pop up from behind terrain, fire missiles, and vanish before traditional air defense could react. The Soviets had the ZSU-23-4 Shilka, a quad 23mm gun system. But combat experience in the Middle East revealed fatal flaws. Maximum effective range was only 2 kilometers. The shells lacked stopping power, and targets often passed through the engagement zone unfired because the radar couldn't detect them in time. Russian military analysts studied the 1973 Yom Kippur War closely. Egyptian forces using Soviet air defense systems faced Israeli helicopters that would hover at low altitude behind dunes and ridges, making them nearly invisible to traditional radar. When they did pop up to fire, the engagement window was often less than 10 seconds. The Shilka's gun dish radar needed more time than that to lock on and deliver accurate fire. Meanwhile, the Americans were developing standoff weapons. The Tau missile could be fired from a helicopter 3,750 meters away. That put attack helicopters outside the effective range of most Soviet short-range air defense, while still being able to kill tanks and armored vehicles with impunity. Russia needed something that could engage targets from 200 meters out to 8 kilometers, something mobile enough to keep up with tank columns, something that didn't rely on just guns or just missiles, but both. The answer was the Tunguska. Here's what made the Tunguska different from every other air defense system at the time: true hybrid capability. 2 A3-8M autocannons, 8 9M 311 surface-to-air missiles, 2 independent radar systems, all mounted on a tracked chassis. Most systems picked one approach. The Tunguska gave its crew options. Close threat? Use the guns. Target beyond 3 kilometers? Fire a missile. Radar jammed? Switch to optical tracking with backup TV sight and laser rangefinder. The fire control computer selected the optimal weapon automatically based on range, speed, and threat priority. The design philosophy was simple. Never give the enemy a scenario where your weapon system can't respond. NATO helicopters flying nap of the earth at treetop level? The guns could engage in less than 8 seconds from detection. Fast jets making a high-speed pass? The missiles had the range and speed to intercept. Electronic warfare jamming your radar? The optical sight with 8-power magnification gave the gunner manual override. Development began on June 8, 1970. The chief designer was Arkady Shipunov at KBP Instrument Design Bureau in Tula. Vasily Gryazev led the cannon design team, while V.M. Kuznetsov headed missile development. The guns were developed by the same Gryazev-Shipunov team that created the GSH-32 aircraft cannon. First designs were completed in 1973. Prototype production finished in 1976 at Ulyanovsk Mechanical Factory. Testing ran from September 1980 to December 1981. The system was officially accepted into service on September 8, 1982, but actual deployment to Army units didn't begin until 1984. Let's talk about those cannons. Each 2A38M is a twin-barrel 30mm autocannon using the Gast principle. Two conjoined barrels where firing one cycles the action of the other. This design delivers extreme rate of fire in a compact package. Combined cyclic rate, 4,000 to 5,000 rounds per minute. The barrels are water-cooled to handle sustained fire. Most autocannons overheat quickly. The Tunguska can keep shooting. Total ammunition capacity, 1,904 rounds in ready magazines. At maximum rate, that's 23 to 30 seconds of continuous fire. In practice, the system fires bursts of 83 to 250 rounds, depending on target type. The ammunition feed system was a marvel of engineering for its time. The rounds are belt-fed from two magazines positioned low in the hull to keep the center of gravity stable. Each magazine holds 952 rounds. The feed mechanism can switch between HEI-T and A PDS-T ammunition types automatically based on the fire control computer's target classification. When the gunner or the automated system selects a target, the feed system chambers the appropriate round type in under half a second. For an aircraft, it loads high explosive incendiary. For a light armored vehicle, it switches to armor piercing. This happens without crew intervention. Two ammunition types, high explosive incendiary with tracer for aircraft, and armor piercing discarding sabot with tracer for ground targets. Muzzle velocity, 960 meters per second. Effective range against air targets, 200 to 4,000 meters. Maximum altitude engagement, 3,500 meters. The system can fire on the move against aerial targets, with stabilization allowing accurate fire at speeds up to 28 kilometers per hour. Now here's where it gets dangerous. The missiles. 89M311 surface-to-air missiles in two 4-round launchers, one on each side of the turret. Radio command guided. The Tunguska's radar tracks both missile and target simultaneously, sending course corrections in real time. Range, 8 kilometers. Altitude, up to 3,500 meters. Speed, Mach 2.5. Proximity fuse with 5 kilogram fragmentation warhead. No direct hit required. The missile guidance system works through a two-stage process. After launch, the missile follows a preset ballistic trajectory for the first second, while the rocket motor accelerates it to full speed. Once it reaches Mach 2.5, the fire control radar begins sending course corrections through a radio command link. The missile makes adjustments using 4 control surfaces at the rear. The proximity fuse activates when the missile comes within 5 meters of the target. At that distance, the fragmentation warhead creates a cloud of shrapnel moving at high velocity. Even if the helicopter manages to evade, the blast wave and fragments can damage rotor systems, engines, or critical flight controls. The improved 2K22M variant, which entered service in 1990, came standard with 8 ready-to-fire missiles instead of the original 4. The 2K22M1 variant from 2003 introduced the 9 M311M1 missile with 10-kilometer range and improved performance against cruise missiles. Reload time with a trained crew and support vehicle, approximately 13 to 16 minutes. Two radar systems make the Tunguska work. The 1RL-144 surveillance radar scans for targets out to 18 kilometers. It can track multiple targets and assign priority based on threat assessment. The 1RL-144M fire control radar locks onto selected targets and provides tracking data. Maximum tracking range, 16 kilometers. Can handle targets moving at speeds up to 500 meters per second. What makes these radars effective is the frequency hopping capability. The fire control radar can switch between multiple frequency bands to counter jamming attempts. If the enemy tries to jam one frequency, the system automatically shifts to another. This cat-and-mouse game happens in milliseconds, faster than most electronic warfare systems can adapt. The radar cross-section detection threshold is surprisingly low. The system can track targets as small as 0.1 square meters, which means even small reconnaissance drones or cruise missiles with reduced radar signatures can be detected and engaged. If electronic warfare jams the radar, the crew switches to optical tracking using the television sight and laser rangefinder. The system was designed from the start to keep fighting in a heavy jamming environment. The Tunguska saw extensive combat use, though not in the Bekaa Valley in 1982 as initially claimed. The system didn't reach operational units until 1984. During the First Chechen War in the mid-1990s, Russian forces used Tunguskas in urban combat for direct fire support. The 30mm guns proved effective against fortified positions. The system has been deployed extensively in Syria, Libya, and currently in Ukraine by both Russian and Ukrainian forces. In Ukraine, video evidence shows Tunguskas being used to counter low-flying drones, including commercial quadcopters modified for reconnaissance and even small loitering munitions. The guns can track and destroy these targets more cost-effectively than missiles, though the radar sometimes struggles to detect the smallest drones due to their minimal radar cross-section. But it has limitations. First, ammunition consumption. At 5,000 rounds per minute, you can empty all magazines in under 30 seconds of sustained fire. Short bursts are standard practice, but intensive air defense drains ammunition fast. Second, missile reload time. 13 to 16 minutes leaves the system vulnerable to follow-up attacks. Third, radar signature. Those large dish antennas make the Tunguska easy to detect. Modern anti-radiation missiles can target the fire control radar. Fourth, armor protection. The hull can stop small arms and shell fragments, but won't survive dedicated anti-tank weapons. Russia exported the Tunguska to multiple countries. India received deliveries starting in the late 1990s and operates around 66 to 80 systems. Belarus, Ukraine, before 2014, Morocco, Myanmar, and Syria also acquired the system. The Tunguska M1 improved variant was accepted into service in 2003. Better missiles, improved fire control, enhanced cruise missile engagement capability. The real successor is the Pantsir S1, which uses a similar gun missile concept with better radar, longer range missiles, and more modern systems. The Pantsir entered service in 2012, yet Russia still operates at least 240 Tunguskas as of 2024. India has up to 80. Ukraine has 75. These systems remain in active service because they work. The Tunguska pioneered a concept that's now standard: hybrid engagement with automated fire control and layered response. Systems like the German Gepard, the Chinese Type 95, and various modern platforms use variations of the same approach. And with the proliferation of drones, the Tunguska's guns are more relevant than ever. Expensive missiles are wasteful against small UAVs. A burst of 30mm fire is fast and cost-effective. In Ukraine, both sides are using Tunguskas and similar systems to counter reconnaissance drones and loitering munitions. The system wasn't designed for that role, but it adapted. The drone threat has actually validated the Tunguska's original design philosophy. A $2 million missile to kill a $500 drone makes no economic sense. A few 30mm rounds costing less than $100 total? That's sustainable. Military analysts are now calling for more gun-based systems in modern air defense networks specifically because of the drone proliferation problem. Which brings up the question, is a gun-missile hybrid still the best approach for modern air defense, or should new systems go all-missile? Drop a comment and let us know what you think. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.